Alright guys, so this is the video for Chapter 8, Section 2, and in this video, or in this section, we're going to talk a lot about arithmetic sequences. Okay, so we're going to learn the ins and outs of arithmetic sequence. Now remember, an arithmetic sequence is when we either add or subtract the same number every single term. Okay, so make sure you know the definition of an arithmetic sequence, and that stays consistent throughout. Okay, so if I look here, here's the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms of the sequence, and if I look here from -9 to -2, all I'm doing is adding 7. Okay, and then from -2 to 5, once again, I'm adding 7. 5 to 12, I'm adding 7, and 12 to 19, I'm adding 7. So we would say, yes, this is an arithmetic sequence. And the reason it is an arithmetic sequence is because I'm adding the same number both times. Or it could be, remember, we can add a negative number too or subtract the same number from both times. So this plus 7 here, this is called the common difference. Okay, and as we move forward, it's the common difference is going to be represented by a D. Okay, we'll get to that a little later. All right, so from here to here, we're adding a -8, or you could say subtract 8. From 15 to 9, we're going down by 6. All right, so we can stop there. If these are different, we can automatically say, no, it's not arithmetic. We don't need to keep going on. Okay, and that's all we need. All right, so to write the equation of an arithmetic sequence, okay, here it is right here. Okay, so a sub n, or the nth term of the arithmetic sequence, is a sub 1. So this is our first term, plus, in parentheses, n minus 1, and this d, like we just talked about, is our common difference. Okay, now what I highlighted here in green, you will have to know for your quizzes and tests. Okay, this is a formula you will have to know and you will have to memorize. Okay, so let's look at example 2 here. It says write a rule for the nth term of each sequence, then find a sub 15. Okay, so once again, an arithmetic sequence is a sub n is going to equal a1, so the first term, plus parentheses n minus 1 times our common difference. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure these are arithmetic sequences. Okay, so here plus 5, here plus 5, and here plus 5. Okay, so this is in fact an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so I can just put it in this form right here. So 5 is my common difference. Okay, and my a sub 1 is just the first term, which is given right here. Okay, so I can say a sub n equals my a1 is 3 plus n minus 1 times my common difference, which is 5. Okay, now I want to clean this up a little bit, so I'm going to distribute this 5 through. So a sub n equals 3 plus 5n minus 5, and if I clean it up just a little bit more, I have a sub n equals 5n minus 2. And here is my rule for this arithmetic sequence. All right, now that I have my rule, I want to find a sub 15. So I can find a sub 15 by simply plugging 15 in for n. So this is 5 times 15 minus 2. And if I plug that into my calculator, I get a sub 15 equals 73. Okay, go ahead and try to do B on your own. Hopefully this isn't too difficult, and then we'll go over it. All right, so I've gone and worked B out. Okay, so I'm going to follow the same track as I did up here, the same formula. So a sub n is equal to a sub 1. So this is my a sub 1, and I know that because this is the first term of the sequence. Okay, these will always match. Okay, and my common difference is I'm subtracting 8, so it's a minus 8. So my minus 8 is my d. When I plug that in, remember I want to distribute this through, make sure you pay attention to the negative, so you get an 8n plus an 8, and when you clean it up, you get a sub n equals negative 8n plus 63. Okay, now to find a sub 15, all you're going to do is plug 15 in for n, and you should get negative 57. All right, let's look at example 3 now. Okay, it says one term of an arithmetic sequence. So it's telling you it's arithmetic. So if it's arithmetic, I should know I'm going to use the a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, it says a sub 19 equals negative 45. Okay, so when we plug in 19 for n, our output or our outcome would be negative 45. Okay, so I could right here put a sub 19 equals a sub 1 plus 19 minus 1 times d, and I know my a sub 19 is negative 45, so negative 45 equals a sub 1 plus 18 times d. Okay, so if I go on to the next sentence, it says the common difference is d equals negative 3. Okay, so if my d equals negative 3, I can plug negative 3 in. So negative 45 equals a sub 1 plus 18 times negative 3 goes in for d. Okay, and if I clean this up, negative 45 equals a sub 1. This is going to be a negative, so 18 times negative 3 is a negative 54. Okay, so if I add 54 from both sides to solve for a1, I get 9 equals a1. Okay, so now to write the formula, have a sub n equals, well, I know my a1 now. It's going to be 9 plus n minus 1 times my difference, which is negative 3. Now, we are in honor, so we're going to clean this up. Okay, so a sub n equals, I'm going to distribute this negative 3 through, 9 minus 3n plus 3. So a sub n equals negative 3n plus 12 would be my final equation. Now I can solve for any n here. All right, I want you to use that example, the one in part A, and I want you to try to do this one on your own, and then we'll go over it. All right, so hopefully you've worked this one out, done this one on your own. And when you do, you plug 52 is a of 12. So when n is 12, we get 52. And then our common difference is 6, so we plug 6 in for our d. So all we're doing is solving for a1. So if you do the algebra, solve for a1, you should get negative 14. And then when you plug that negative 14 back for a sub 1, and then clean it up, you should get a sub n equals 6n minus 20. And once again, now we can find any term by just plugging it in for n. All right, let's look at example 4. Okay, now this one's a little more complicated. I do still have an arithmetic sequence, so I'm still going to use the a sub n equals a1 plus parentheses n minus 1 times the common difference. Now remember, you will have to know this equation for tests and quizzes. Now, when I do this, I'm given two sets of solutions. I'm given that a sub 7 is 17 and a sub 26 is 93. So what I want to do is I want to set up a system of equations. So I'm going to set up an equation for this one, and then I'm going to set up a different equation for this one here. So I can say 17 equals a1 plus n minus 1. Well, my n is 7 here, so 7 minus 1 times my common difference. Okay, so 17 equals a1 plus 6d. Okay, now I can do the same thing for my a sub 26, so I can say 93 equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1. Here my n is 26 times my common difference. So if I clean this up, 93 equals a1 plus 25d. Okay, now you could use substitution or elimination here. It doesn't really matter. Both would be super easy at this point because you have your a1s by itself already. I'm going to go ahead and use substitution. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to subtract 6d from both sides. And I'm going to say 17 minus 6d equals a sub 1. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to substitute this in for a1. So 93 equals, my a1 is now 17 minus 6d plus 25d. Clean this up, 93 equals 17 plus 19d minus 17. I get 76 equals 19D. Divide both sides by 19. I get my D is 4. Okay, so I have half of it. You know, I have my D. I still have to find my A1. But now that I know my D, I can plug it in here to find my A1. Okay, my D is 4. So 17 minus 6 times 4 equals A1. That's 17 minus 24. So negative 7 equals my A1. Okay, so now that I have my A1 and my D, I could use them to plug it into my formula up here and then solve. So my A sub n equals A1, which is negative 7, plus n minus 1 times my D, which is 4. Okay, so A sub n equals negative 7. If I distribute that through, that's 4n minus 4. So A sub n equals 4n minus 11. Here's my equation. Okay, it's long and it's tedious, but it's very, very, very doable. All right, I want you to go ahead and use this, use the part A that we just did right here, and I want you to try to complete part B on your own. So I want you to go ahead and pause this, work it out as much as you can, and then when you're done, hit the play button and we'll go over it. All right, so once again, you set up your two equations, you work it through. I once again use substitution. I prefer substitution, guys. That doesn't mean you have to. You could use elimination really easily here too. And when I substituted for A1, I got that 5 equals D. Okay, and then when I plugged 5 in for D, I got my A1 is negative 63. Okay, so then when I put it back into my formula and I cleaned it up, I got A sub n equals 5n minus 68. All right, if you feel like you need a little bit of extra practice, go ahead and work through these monitoring progress, and we'll go over them. So go ahead and pause this, work through these if you want extra practice, and then hit the play button, and we will go over it. All right, so if you worked through this, this is what you should have gotten on the monitoring progress number 1. And then if I scroll down the monitoring progress number 2, this is the work you should have gotten here.